Hello witches, wizards, and those who are yet to receive their Hogwarts school letters. Welcome to my Harry Potter kitchen. This is the YouTube series where I'm baking my way through the Harry Potter books, making recipes for all the food and drink featured inside. If you missed last week's recipe for our Harry Potter inspired rice puddings, then check out the link down below in the description to catch up. But it's Magic Monday, so let's see what's up next. If you're a fan of magical food and drink recipes and you don't want to miss a thing from my Harry Potter kitchen, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Magic Monday when there is a brand new recipe. Speaking of which, let's get to it. Okay, so we've actually finished the sentence with most of our desserts in, but there's a few more on the way. Harry's just got himself some treacle tart, which we made a couple of weeks ago, and Neville's just updating everyone on his family when he says, "Great Uncle Algie came round for tea and he was hanging me out of an upstairs window by the ankles when Great Auntie Enid offered him a meringue and he accidentally let go." Sounds painful for Neville, but at least those meringues were probably pretty tasty. For this recipe, you will need 4 egg whites, 250 grams of sugar, 75 milliliters of water, half a teaspoon of cream of tartar, and 1 teaspoon of vanilla. So if you're a fan of meringues, you'll know that they come in all shapes and sizes. And there are actually 3 main techniques to making them. So before we jump into this recipe, I'm going to introduce you to the magical world of meringues. First up are French meringues. Now these are completely raw, so you have to make sure you bake these in the oven afterwards. You whisk up your egg whites and then slowly add in your sugar bit by bit until it's light and fluffy. Then you can pipe them out or top your desserts, and they need to go in the oven to cook. The second type is our Swiss meringues. Now these are the kind of hybrid in the middle meringues, and that's where you pasteurize your egg whites over a bowl of simmering water, and the heat from the steam is going to remove any of the bacteria, which makes it safer to eat. You then whisk up those egg whites fully and add in your sugar before you serve them. But today I'm going to show you how to make the Italian meringue. Now it's slightly more complex, but you do get a better finish. This is where we make a sugar syrup, and then we slowly pour that really hot syrup into our egg whites. So the heat of the syrup is going to cook them through, which means you get a much more marshmallowy texture, and when we cook them, they're going to melt in your mouth. It's definitely worth the effort, so here's how it's done. The first step to making any meringue is to separate your egg whites from your egg yolks. So we're going to do this one by one by cracking the eggs and then tipping them side to side to separate out the yolks. It's always important to do these one by one and then transfer your egg whites into a separate jug, just in case one of them cracks or the yolk splits. You don't want to ruin the whole batch. Once all your egg whites are good to go, pop them to one side. Now, as I mentioned at the start, for this recipe, we need to make a sugar syrup. So we're going to place a saucepan on a medium heat and then add in our sugar and our water. Swirl this round, but you want to be careful not to overmix it, otherwise you'll encourage too many sugar crystals. Heat that on high until it comes up to 120 degrees Celsius. When your sugar syrup is almost at temperature, you can start whisking up your egg whites. So you can pour this into your bowl along with your cream of tartar and your vanilla. Whisk it slowly at first until it's nice and frothy, and then we're ready to add in our syrup. Slowly pour in your sugar syrup so it's a nice thin strand that is consistent as we whisk it through. Once all your sugar syrup has been added, you can increase the speed and carry on whisking it together for about 5 minutes. If you place your hand on the side of the bowl, you'll notice that it is very, very hot. So you want to keep on whisking until the meringue is nice and thick and you'll have felt it cool down slightly. Now, as the hot sugar syrup has cooked through our egg whites, technically you can just eat this and it is pretty good. So if you have any left, I definitely recommend it, but we want to use most of it for our recipe. So as it's my Harry Potter kitchen, we're going to turn these into some lightning bolt meringue kisses, which you can use as decorations or snacks. Before we start piping, we're going to prepare our piping bags inspired by our Hogwarts houses. I've got 4 different piping nozzles, so I'm going to measure them against the end of the piping bags, cut them into place, and then place them inside the bag. You'll then need to get yourself some food colouring and some paintbrushes. All I'm going to do is take a good amount on the end of the paintbrush and then paint stripes along the inside of each piping bag. Once you've got some nice distinct stripes of food colouring, you can then add in your meringue and then squeeze the piping bag down. The first bit will come out just white meringue, but after that you'll see a very nice two-tone effect. Repeat the process for the rest of your Hogwarts house colours. Once all of your piping bags are good to go, you can get a small amount of your leftover meringue and place it into each corner of your baking tray. Then place a baking sheet over the top and this will secure it in place. Pipe out your lightning bolts along your baking tray and make sure you leave a little bit of room in between. As they are fully cooked and we're going to bake them at a low temperature, they won't expand too much, but you do want to give them enough room to breathe. Once the tray is full, all you need to do is place it into the oven at 80 degrees Celsius for 5 hours. It's important that we do this at a very low temperature for a long time to make sure it goes nice and crisp on the outside but not browned. Otherwise, this would ruin our food colouring effect. Now this recipe is a great example of how a little bit of preparation can give you some amazing effects. So we are pretty much done. The only question is what to do in the 5 hours that these are baking. I mean, in that time you can watch 2 Harry Potter films, so let me know down below in the comment which 2 films would you choose. After 5 hours, your meringues should be nice and firm, so you can remove them from the oven and then pop them off your baking tray. If you want to serve these as nibbles at a party, then you can spread them out on a platter, or you can keep them in an airtight container and use them for cakes, eaten messes, or whenever you get peckish. And we're done. These Hogwarts house-inspired meringue kisses taste and feel a lot better than the ones from the Dementors. So there you go, another Hogwarts house inspired recipe under our belt. Let me know down below in the comments which house you'd go for. That's all for this week's recipe, but if you want to see more from my Harry Potter kitchen, then make sure you hit that subscribe button and click on the notification bell so you get an alert every Monday when there's a brand new video. I'll see you then.